going to learn about how to create a menu, mobile menu for WordPress and also for your own site. So you can go into this link, which is mmenu.website.nl tutorials off canvas, and you can click on the first link which says getting started. Okay, and it talks about that you need to go ahead and include all of these codes. So first I'll teach you how to include in your project, and then I'll go ahead and tell you about how to include in the WordPress theme. So you can create a folder. In my case, I've created my test site, and I've included two folders. One is index.php, two files, index.php and jQuery.js. So you can download jQuery.js, and then inside of the index.php, I'm just using this stock type HTML. And in my head section, it talks about that you have to include these three files. First is jQuery.js, and I have included that jQuery.js over here. Okay, and then the next file you want to include is the jQuery.mmenu.js. Now, where do we get this file from? So you can go on to the cdnjs.com libraries jQuery.mmenu. When you go onto this link and when you scroll down, wherein you'll be able to find jQuery.mmenu.js file. So you can either copy this link and you can go ahead and paste it over here directly in the source, or you can just copy this link and search for the file and include that file in your project. In my case, I have just gone ahead and included this JavaScript file into my into the source directly. Okay, so this particular link is going to be included in the source, so it'll get the information from this link. Now the next thing is the jQuery.mmenu.css file. So there's a link for that as well. And this one you can just click on copy, and this will be copied, and then you can go ahead and paste it over here. Okay, so that's what it talks about over here, that you need to include path to jQuery.js, jQuery.mmenu.js, and jQuery.mmenu.css. So once you've included these files, the next thing you need to do is go ahead and create the navigation for your menu. Just wanted to explain this part as well. You have an option that if a basic menu is all you need, these files are all you need to include, which means this one. But if you want to use some of the extensions or add-ons but don't want those files to be included, you can simply include all .js and .css. So you can include these files, all.js and all.cs, instead of just .js and .css. And again, you will be able to find the link for these files over here. You can see all.js and all.css. Okay, but they're just optional, so we'll just stick to what we're doing over here, which is menu.js and mmenu.css. Okay, so next thing, then it talks about the page. So I'm gonna go with I'm directly going to skip to menu. Okay, and I'm going to choose the submenu. So you can create a submenu by simply putting another UL in li. So this is basically just a nav with the ID of my menu, and then you have UL li with home, about us, page, and then you have inside of this li you have another UL and li with history, the team, and our address. So this is just the navigation for the menu that we have created using the UL and li. Okay, and I've got ahead and copy pasted that into my body inside of the div my page. I've included that. Let's just get rid of this. We don't need this. Okay, so I've just copy pasted that. All right, so this is the code that I have pasted inside of the div my header, inside of the div my page. Okay, now so this div is what they had spoken about in the previous link. It says that you probably don't need to make changes to the HTML of your web page, but if you can, it is recommended to wrap all HTML in only one div. So it's just saying that wrap all of the HTML in one div. So I'm including the navigation inside my header div, which is inside of my page. Okay, so that's what it talks about. So basically there's a div inside body, which is my page, inside of which we have another div, which is my header, and then we have the navigation with ULLI combination to make the menu. Okay. The next thing what we need to do is let's see. Yeah, so next thing we need to do is basically fire the plugin. Okay, so to fire the plugin, what we need to do is let's see. In fact, before we fire the plugin, let's make two buttons. One is open the menu and second is close the menu. So we're going to include this link, which is A with href my menu and open the menu. So basically, this means that when you click on open the menu, it's going to take it to my menu. With whatever element has the ID of my menu, it's going to take us to that. So in our case, you know that the ID for the navigation is my menu, which means when you click on the open the menu button, then automatically it's going to redirect you to the navigation element, which is the navigation of our site, menu of our site. Okay. Um, and the second thing is close the menu. So again, this button, basically whenever you click on it, then it's going to take you to my page, which means this entire container. Okay. All right, so now we're going to fire the plugin. So you have an option, just for demonstration purposes. I mean, you can create your own JavaScript file and write this code inside of it. But just for demonstration purposes, I've opened the script tag, and inside of it, I have written these codes. Um, it talks about here that you need to write this on document.ready function. However, my way of writing the codes is basically, to in a different way. For example, let's comment out this one. You can just open two round brackets and then type function. Okay, so basically this is self-executing function, and inside of this I will pass $, and then over here I will pass jQuery. Okay, so basically the jQuery will be equivalent to $, so I can use $, over here, and I will write all of my codes over here instead of using document.ready function. Okay, so and also include this JavaScript file in the just before the body tag ends, rather than including in the header. But for now, just for demonstration purposes, just let's stick to what they have demonstrated in their site. Okay. All right, so let's see. So this talks about on the document.ready, you will use the jQuery and you will get the element which is my menu with the ID with my menu, which is basically this navigation, and you're going to use a .mmenu function. Okay, and inside of the .mmenu function, basically right now we haven't put any options, but if we were to put any options, we can by looking at this site. Okay, so what I'm doing over here is that I'm storing my menu element inside of the variable my menu, and my button element with the ID my button under with the variable my button. Okay, and I'm going ahead and saying variable API is equal to my menu dot data mmenu. Okay, so that's what they are doing over here, if you see. Okay, so you need to trigger the dot open. You need to trigger the open method of the API to open the menu manually. Okay, so whenever this button is clicked, the uh, element with the my button ID, whenever this is clicked, then the API dot open function should be executed. And so what we do is, if you go ahead and check, if you click on this API, the API, it'll take you to this page which talks about that after the plugin has been fired, an API is available for the menu, and with this API you can trigger the plugin method or bind a new function to them. The API is stored in the mmenu data attribute. Okay, so all of these methods are available that you can use. Okay, but in our case we are using the open method. Okay, so basically if you go on to your site, if you click on open the menu, you will see that this menu will be opened, and this is our menu basically, which is built. Okay, Similarly, you have my button.click. When you click on this button, to close button, this api.close function is going to trigger to go ahead and close this menu basically. Okay, so that's that. So that's how you will create the mmenu for your site, and now I will tell you how to do it on WordPress. So let's close this. So I'm going to go to WP content folder, themes. I'm going to go into my theme, which is Cosperl. Similarly, what you need to do is you need to include two files. One is the jQuery jQuery.mmenu .css and jQuery.mmenu.js. So what I've done is I've copied this, I pasted it here, and I've copied this entire content and created a new file in my CSS folder called jQuery.mmenu.css, and I pasted this entire content over here. Okay, so that's my jQuery.mmenu.css file inside of my CSS folder, and I've gone to the JS folder inside of the vendor directory. And similarly for the this was the JS file. Okay, so for the JS, I've copied the content and pasted it into my jQuery mmenu.js file. So I've created a new file, jQuery.mmenu.js, inside of vendor, inside of JS, into my themes directory, and pasted the content of the jQuery.mmenu.js into this. Okay, all right. And similarly for the other one, which is jQuery.mmenu.css, I have pasted the content into jQuery.mmenu.css. Okay, so I've got my two files, and also I need to include these files. So I'll go on to my custom functions.php. You can write that in functions.php as well. So I'll go into custom.functions.php, and I'm going to ensure that I will use the WP register style function, and then give the path up until the jQuery.mmenu.css, and then use the WPNQ style to include this particular file. Okay, similarly for JS as well. If I come down, should be somewhere here. It's right here. So WPNQ script, the unique name, handle name, and then path up until jQuery.mmenu.js, which is inside of my JS directory inside of vendor directory. Okay, and I'm going to say that it should be included in the footer. Okay, so I'm going to include those two files. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a navigation. And to create a navigation, what you need to do is you can go to your header.php. You need to write a function called WPnameMenu and pass in an array. And if you go to codex, it displays the navigation basically. Okay, but even before that, even before you use this function, you need to also register the navigation. Okay, so to register the navigation in the backend, I've already explained to you in my previous videos when I was explaining different functions in my functions tutorial playlist, that what you need to do is you need to create a custom function like this, Cosperl setup, and then go ahead and hook that custom function using the add action function to after setup theme hook, so that whenever the theme is set up, this hook calls the custom function, and inside of the custom function you're going to call register nav menu function and pass in an argument of an array with primary as the key and the value as primary menu, with the slug as Cosperl. That's the slug of my theme. This is just for translation, this double underscore. And this function basically creates the option to register the navigation inside of your um, backend under appearance, under menu. So this to register navigation over here, basically use the register nav menu function inside of your functions.php, and inside of the header.php you use WPnameMenu function, and that is to display the menu in the front end. Okay, so over here, if you want to display the menu inside the header section, inside of the header PHP, you need to define the WPnameMenu function, and these are the parameters you need to pass. If you go on to codex, you can see that you need to pass an array of arguments Okay, and there are different things that you need to define. So what I've done is this is theme location, which is primary, menu ID is primary menu class is primary menu, and container class is Cosperl mobile menu. This is basically the name of the class, which will be for the div that will be wrapping the menu. So if I go on to inspect element, okay, alright, so if I show that to you, if I do an inspect element over here, you can see this is the div with the Cosperl mobile menu. That's the name of the class for the div that's wrapping it, Cosperl mobile menu. Inside of which we have another div which has got panel, and then another div and ul li for this navigation, all of these things going on. So all of this navigation has been created with this function WPnameMenu. Okay, so the next thing what we need to do is basically go on to our main JavaScript file wherever you write your JavaScript. So I've written that into the JS folder inside main.js, and I've created a function like this using the same way of programming, object-oriented programming that I was doing earlier. You need to define the self-executing function this way that I explained to you earlier, inside of which this is my object is equal to, and then I have the init function inside of which I'm calling the this dot create mobile menu function, which is this. Okay, and this function is basically going to set up the API variable menu container, which is Cosperl mobile menu. We're getting hold of this container which is holding the menu. Okay, and then I'm going to say that mobile menu container dot mmenu, which is the same thing that it was explaining over here. dot mmenu. Calling this function, then I'm saying API is equal to mmenu container dot data mmenu. This is what they had done earlier. And then I'm getting hold of this navicon element, which is basically this icon right here. So I've created an element which is this navicon. Okay, this div basically, which is the button right here. I'm saying that when this is clicked, then go ahead and open the menu. So when this is click function, then API.open, so it's going to open the M menu. Okay. So in fact, in this theme, I have created two menus. One is for mobile menu when the screen is shorter, and one is for the full menu. Okay, so what I've done is, so if you go over here into header.php, I've used this function one more time, WPnameMenu, and passed different arguments into it. So I've basically created two menus, displayed two menus. One is when the site is on with the full width, so this menu is coming on from this function, and the second menu will be when the site goes into mobile mode, so this function will be there. So basically I've used the CSS to basically hide this menu, which is the first one, when the site is on the full width, and when the site goes below 1000 pixels, which is 62.5 rem, then the second menu will be in fact not displayed, but we'll have this icon. So let's do that. So we'll have this icon basically that will be showing. Okay, and when this icon is clicked, then the menu will be open, which is coming on from this code right here. Okay, so when this is clicked, this button is clicked, then this will be opened. Okay, so that's basically how to create the M menu into your WordPress theme. Okay, if you have any questions, you can leave the comment and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you guys.